Let's see what happens. Let's see if this is gonna work. All right, fire hole hooks, little Cyclops 3/32 bead. It's a little bit small on here, but that's kind of the profile we're aiming for on this one. Then we've got MFC rusty brown thread. Already got the bead in there. Let's see how this goes. Clipper tag end. I'm going to run back about halfway before I tie in the wire. Not looking for a whole lot of extra weight. Go toss this into some small creeks, I think, for our native Gila trout. Creeks aren't very deep or very fast. Tie that in right back to the bend. And grab a chunk of mottled turkey. Don't want the thickest veins in there, but we want them thick enough because we're also going to use it for a wing case, not just the body. So I'm going to grab probably 6 or 7 of these. I always have a habit of starting out with too few, and I end up with a really narrow, skinny wing case up on top that just doesn't look good. So I'd rather start out with a few more than what I need than a few less. Kind of run all these back together, even up the tips. We're going to use it for a tail, kind of like doing a pheasant tail, but we're using turkey on this one. 2 wraps. Now I can take a look and decide how long I want the tail, change the angle. You can pull on either side if you want it longer or shorter. This one looks pretty good. A couple more wraps to tie it in. And we'll run that forward. And just because I'm using my bobbin cradle to hold up my backstop here, I'm not going to use any rotary, so my hands may be in the way on the shot. Just kind of bear with me. We're just wrapping this up and over for a body. Having that number of fibers really lets you move forward pretty quickly. It only takes 2 or 3 wraps to get up here to the front. And the idea is to get this centered up right up on top. Might not be able to get it in the first wrap, but surely the second or third we can get that lined up. There we go. Now we're going to counter wrap our wire. Our wire on this is just a small chartreuse ultra wire. And it doesn't matter the size of the fly. I always end up with 4 to 5 wraps. One full, one right at the base before you start moving forward. There we go. Fairly even wraps. There's a dude. Looks like we're going to end up with 5. And just to save my scissors, it's really hard to get the tips of your scissors down in to get that wire cut off close, so I just use the helicopter method. A couple of twists, it breaks off flush, and you can close that up pretty quick. I've got a 14 to 16 size Coachman Brown grizzly hackle here. We're going to pick off just the ends so we got a nice clean spot to tie in. That's going to be the legs here. And before we get too far there, I'm going to throw in just a little bit of dubbing wax. Doesn't take much because we're not using very much dubbing on this one. This is the Hairline Ice Dub, olive brown. Kind of a cool feature there. It's got some brown, some purple, just some really neat features that jump out and grab you. Hopefully jump out and grab the fish as well. We're gonna stay pretty thin on that. We don't have a whole lot of space to cover for a body. There we go. I'll wrap this one in tight to our turkey and tight to the bead. Leave us just a little bit of space. There we go. I'm gonna wrap forward that hackle. This is just going to be a palmered hackle, which means we're not going to wrap it like a dry fly. It's not going to be real tight wraps. Just real sparse, real spread out. Tie that down with a couple of loops. Clip it. And because we got this wing case going down, we're going to take everything right on top, trim it off. He's going to end up with a reverse mohawk. I tend to trim just a little bit extra on the upward side of the hackle. We'll show you here in just a second. All of those hackle fibers don't stand perfectly straight out. They all have a natural arc as it goes around. So usually the side furthest away from me ends up fairly flat and straight out, while the side closest to me curves up. So I'll take off an extra one or two to kind of even out that profile. Roll our wing case over. Make sure we're all spread out the best we can. There we go. I like doing one loose wrap, not even a full wrap, just a half wrap, enough to hold it down. And I'll get in there with my thumbnail, kind of spread it and roll it and press it, make it look the way I want it to. One loose wrap, one tighter wrap, and then one or two towards the top end of the strength that you want. You don't need to go too crazy. We're just trying to indent that feather enough to sink it in right behind the bead. Trim everything off close. A couple more wraps to cover that up. Sometimes you can get in there with your fingernail and kind of roll it into the bead. And this rusty brown thread really matches in. I'm not too worried about it disappearing. I actually like having a shoulder behind the bead on a pattern like this. I think it just adds to the realism of the bug. Kind of helps segment everything. Give the appearance of a segmented bug anyway. 2 half hitches because I abandoned the whip finish long ago. There we go. And I use this thin UV. Get a 3-pack with a light for like, I don't know, 18 bucks on Amazon. It's pretty cheap. If you're interested, let me know, and I'll toss you a link on that. So usually what I do, you end up with a lot of glue all over the place here. So I run my bodkin and just pick up just the smallest amount. We're not working with anything massive here. I'm not going to cover the wing case. I just want to get a little bit of thread there. A little bit into the thread. We're going to let that sink in. Give it just a couple of minutes. Let's turn this around for you. Let you see the full thing. Nice little sparkly colors coming through. And you can actually go through and pick a little bit of that out and kind of mix it in with the legs. Trout might see that as a little caddis or a little mayfly floating down the stream holding on to something with his legs. Pick them out, leave it in tight. It doesn't really matter what you do. Let's get, there we go. Get our UV light, give that a quick cure. about 10 seconds or so. I see a lot of people complaining about their UV, that it doesn't dry all the way and it stays a little soft and it's kind of tacky. A big part of that is because they don't let it cure for long enough. The absolute best thing you can do is give it a quick set with your flashlight at your desk. Once you get your set of flies done that you're doing, walk outside in the sunshine with them, let them sit for 20-30 seconds, change the angle, let it sit for another 20-30 seconds, and it should be solid, hard as a rock at that point. See if we can grab this. There we go. Hopefully that's focusing in. See what I mean about the spiral on the hackle there? Still a little bit high on this side, but I think we'll leave it. That's a good looking bug. Thanks for watching.